All right, here we go. Quiet! Roll 'em!
The Upside is directed by Neil Berger and stars Kevin Hart, Bryan Cranston, and Nicole Kidman, and is a remake of the 2011 film Intouchables. In 2012, the Weinstein Company apparently bought the rights to this movie and was trying to make their own version ever since. So, yay, we got another remake! Really? Did we really need another remake of this movie? Which is already a great movie? I mean, why? Why would you... Calm down. Calm down. Take a few deep breaths. Okay. I'm good. I'm good. Now, before I jump into my negatives of this movie, which there are a bunch of, I do want to talk about some positive stuff in this film. My first positive thing is that Bryan Cranston gives a good performance and is likable in this movie, which is normal, I would say. Bryan Cranston normally always gives a good performance. Kevin Hart is also okay. His more like dramatic sides of the movie is also good performed, so props to this. And the only difference that between this movie and that movie is that the romance that they have, and this is spoilers I guess, but if you've seen the Untouchables, it's the same damn movie as this one. Now, as you know, in the original movie, Felipe has this friendship with this lady that goes on per mail. In the original movie, they finally meet up, and then they have a happy ending, and she accepts him the way he is, and da da da. It was kind of like a little issue for me, like when this is said, I don't think every person would just accept a person that is completely paralyzed from the neck down. So that was like, you know, it was nice to see in the movie because the man was struggling so much that he finally got a happy end or something, some happiness in his life. But in this movie, they kind of twisted it. When they have the dinner, which was actually nice to see, you get to see them talk and interact with each other. And when it doesn't go the route that you think, it was actually surprising and a nice turn. Can't really accept him the way she is, even though she knows she's in a wheelchair. So that was like the only change that I found interesting and nice. But other than that, that's basically it with my positives. I did not like this movie. This movie was bad. This movie was boring and bland. I mean, Nicole Kidman's performance is so boring and bland that I even forgot that she was in the movie. Like, I was sitting there watching the movie, and when she left the screen, like after 10 minutes, she reappears, and I go like, oh, Nicole Kidman's in this movie. But that just shows how bland and boring this movie is, which is actually a disappointment because this is such a great story. I mean, this is a story between two different people and have unhappiness in their own way in their life. And then when they meet up, they find this happiness in their life again. From both different sides. You have these two different, you have kind of the street life, this person who grew up in the streets and did crime, and then you have this other person who was wealthy and rich, but also alone. So when they meet up, they become best friends. And this is also another issue in this movie. You never actually feel like Kevin Hart and Bryan Cranston are becoming friends. You just feel like, oh yeah, he's a boss, he's an employer, yeah, and they get along, that's it. I don't know what happened. This is what the main focus is supposed to be about this movie. It's just two people meeting up and becoming best friends. That's the whole plot of the whole damn movie. So to see this kind of watered down version, what they did was really disappointing. The changes that they made are also not very good. I mean, in this version, Kevin Hart is the one with the family, not Felipe like in the original one, which was kind of like more the generic Hollywood typical way. I mean, you've seen this so many times. A mother is raising a lonely son. The father comes back, tries to get a connection back, but no, the son doesn't like him. Then they have a little moment. It's just they went this Hollywood route with this movie, which was didn't fit the story completely in my version. And there's so much unnecessary drama with the son. I mean, Kevin Hart's character gives his son a book. And at first the son doesn't accept the book. He doesn't want it. He tosses it aside and doesn't really care. Then when Kevin Hart wants the book back, then all of a sudden everybody gets mad. The mother gets mad. Why you want to take this back? It's a gift. You gave him his gift. And then the same son. Oh, you shouldn't give this. You stole this. This is not my son. It's like, oh, you didn't want the damn book. So why do you care about the damn book? It's just stuff like that really irritate me because the original movie is so great and it's such a great story told, that this unnecessary drama that they put in doesn't fit. And also the way they change the scenes and everything, they change the way the story goes in this movie, and what really just becomes a huge mess. I mean, they jump from this scene to this scene to this scene to this scene. And even I also felt like this movie wanted to end sooner than it got to, because when it got slowly towards the end, it even said, oh no, we have to put in this scene because it wasn't original. Oh no, we have to put in this scene because it wasn't original. And you're just sitting there like, oh, this is really a messy story. Another change which was bad in the movie is actually the music. There's one original score, I would really say. The other's just the typical comedy, upbeat music which you have in every damn movie. And this is more pop songs throughout the film, which is okay, fine. I mean, you can have that. And with the also big changes, they changed in the original movie. You have Dries' character, like Earth, Wind and Fire, and in this movie it's Aretha Franklin. Which I thought, yeah, it's okay. I like Aretha Franklin. You better think it out what you're trying to do to me. I like Aretha Franklin, so I was okay with this change. But the problem is with this, they never play any upbeat song of Aretha Franklin. They only play the slow jams that sounds kind of like the classical music. And which I was like, yeah, that doesn't really work. And to be honest, in the whole team, that was also like one of the main themes in the other movie, like these two different music worlds colliding, but then coming together. You know, him liking his music and him liking his music. But in this film, the music basically sounds the same, so there's no really change in that. And I mean, no offense to Aretha Franklin or anything, but I think if Aretha Franklin hadn't passed recently, she wouldn't be in this movie, I think, because I kind of feel like that's the only reason why they put her in, because she passed away. It was kind of sad to just like kind of hammer her in because she passed away, you know. Because I love Aretha Franklin, she's an amazing singer, rest in peace. And they don't even use her music in the right way, what was also disappointing to me. And also when it comes to music, in the end, there's such a rip-off score of the original made by, sorry, I have to read the name because it's L'Audition Eindhoven. I'm sorry, I probably said that wrong, but you know the composer of the original score, Intouchables, which is such a beautiful score. This is one of my favorite scores of all time in this movie. And in the movie, they do such a rip-off version of this movie. It's just, oh my god, this movie is bad. I mean, really bad. And I just think of myself, what happened? Really, what happened? This is such an easy and not difficult story to tell. Also, what I think would have been more interesting to see in a better version, because as you know, Intouchables is actually an adaptation of the book that Philippe originally wrote, about his autobiography that he wrote after he had the accident. And in real life, Philippe, he lives in Morocco with his wife and 2 children. Like the story goes also in a different way. So what I think would have been more interesting to see, or something new to see, like do a different version of the adapted book. Like adapt the book into a different version, maybe show his life like after they part ways and he's in Morocco with his family, and the way Dries' life would have been in today's life. That would have been interesting to see. But to have like this bad remake, what was so unnecessary. I mean, seriously, they recreate so many shots in this film. What's actually weird, because when you make a remake, you actually want to do something different. When it comes to the beginning of the movie to the end of the movie, it's just, like I said before, in the end, Felipe meets this girl and they come together. And this movie, what it doesn't go this way, was interesting to see. But then instead of the girl, it's his secretary played by Nicole Kidman, which kind of leaves this weird vibe. It's like, okay, I know they gonna hook up and be together. Or like they kind of left it in that sort of way, what was kind of weird, really. And yeah, and also, oh yeah, sorry. I forgot about this. One of my favorite scenes in the movie is when Felipe and Dries are at that countryside, you know, at this hotel, and he has this giant beard, Felipe, and Dries is shaving him and does this funny different mustaches like a rock and roll, and he does that funny Hitler mustache. But was actually, it's one of my favorite scenes because it's so enjoyable and nice. And in this movie, it just feels like, oh yeah, we gotta have this scene because it was in the other movie. And the way they do it in this movie is just bad. It's unfunny. It doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel like it fit into this movie. It's just hammered in. Even at the end, when when Dries, when they part ways in the movie, it makes more sense because Dries has to go back because his family needs him. In this movie, they part ways because Bryan Cranston's character is sad that the woman didn't accept him, and he lets out his anger on Kevin Hart, and that's why he fires him. And all those changes they made, I thought was like, okay, you gotta change a few stuff, but it makes the story more messy. I mean, the story, the way it was told in the original, had more like a natural flow, and this is just like a huge bunch of mess. But my biggest question is, with this movie, why would you remake this movie? Seriously, why? I mean, I understand if this is an old movie from the 90s, 80s, or even 50s, and you want to remake that. Or if this is a bad, terrible movie, and then you want to remake it and make another version of it. That's understandable. Okay, you want to remake a bad movie? Okay, good. You want to remake an old movie? Okay, do that. But this movie came out in 2011. It's only 8 years apart. This movie doesn't feel forgotten or, old or anything. This is a great movie. So to hammer in another watered down version like this is really disappointing. And this is really the most unnecessary movie of the year. We don't need this movie. We got a great movie. Why would you remake this movie? I mean, come on. I really wouldn't watch this movie. This movie is bad. Go rather watch Intouchables. That's a great movie with great stories and great characters told in a good way. This is just boring, bland and wrong. So yeah, I'm gonna give this movie as D+. I did not care for this movie, as you can clearly see, but even real quick, what I want to say, even though when I was sitting watching the movie, I keep thinking to myself, okay, even though I didn't like this movie from the start, I was like, okay, I'm going to give this movie a chance, because every movie deserves a chance. And all the time, and all throughout the movie, when I was watching this, I had this thought in my head keep popping up. Why are you watching this? Why are you watching this? There's a better version. Why are you watching this? This is unnecessary. So yeah, thanks again for watching for my apparently rage review. Thanks everybody for watching. Have a great day, and remember, as always, see you next time.